Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. Welcome. So tonight I'm working in my vintage ledger journal, just prepping the page now, getting some clear gesso down onto it. It's really fine paper, quite tough though, but it is quite fine. So I like to put down clear gesso just to give it a bit more tooth and a bit more strength. I knocked the camera there and fixed it up. So just getting that on. I hope you're all well. I'm well here. Can't complain. I've had quite a stressful week at work. It's been very stressful at work for quite a long time, several months. So I actually decided, I made the decision yesterday and I put my resignation in. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to take some time off once I've finished out my notice period. I've got 4 weeks left. So see what happens. But I'm just going to chill out for a couple of weeks. I'm putting some micropore tape down the center here. I find it's really strong tape and you can't actually see it once you get some paint over the top. So I've got this printed tissue paper. I bought quite a lot of it actually. And I think at some point I might create a little Etsy shop and sell some of those pages for collage. But it won't be for a little while. I'll let anybody know. I'll let people know in this video if I get round to it at some point in the near future. So I'm just adhering the tissue paper down with Liquitex matte medium. I'm using my silicone brush. I like this because it works like a brush and you can do whatever a brush can do, but it also works like a credit card or a scraper where you can go over the top of the tissue paper and, flatten out any air bubbles or anything like that are still in there. It does help if you use enough matte medium though. So just getting that down. I love the colours. Love the colours in this tissue paper. It's beautiful. And what I decided to do in this particular piece is to pick 2 or 3 colours from the actual tissue paper and work with those. So you'll see that in a moment. Just drying that off and making sure that it's really dry. This layer needs to be very dry before you move on to adding any more wet media on top of it. So I'm just getting out my Neocolor 2s and you'll see that I pick 3 colours. So a pink, a yellow and a sort of a limey green colour. Scribbling them down. Not really thinking too much about anything at this point. Just, filling in some, white space. It's good to have a good scribble every now and then. All right, I'm activating those 2 colours now with just with water. The Neocolor 2s are water soluble, so the water actually activates them and they turn into like watercolour paint. So just going around, smooshing. I do like the colour when the yellow and the pink mix. It comes up to a really pretty orangey corally colour. It's very pretty. I'm not thinking about anything at this point other than just getting the background, first couple of layers on the background done. I'm drying them off because I want to go in next with the green. And if I don't dry it off and go in with the green, it's going to mix and I'll end up with a bit of a muddy colour and I don't want that. I want the green to be as bright as I can keep it. So I'm just drying off those pink and yellow layers just to make sure that when I do go in with the green, it stays as vibrant a colour as I can manage. So just scribbling here and reactivating that. Drying it off. Thank goodness for heat tools. I don't know how I would have coped back in the day before heat tools were invented. A lot of waiting and a lot of patience, which I don't really have. So I'm very thankful. So I've got at my golden So Flat white acrylic paint here, and I'm just sort of blending where the collage pieces were. Got my brayer out. I'm just going to smush some paint around just to sort of start to unify the background just a little bit. Again, this is, you know, there'll be many more layers on top of this, so it's really just another layer, really. So I've got, that looks like golden, green, yellow, I think it is. Just mark making, really. I mean, obviously I've got this on fast speed, but this was really just quite meditative for me while I was doing it. I could just potter along and mark make and do what I wanted. This is Dylusions paint. I think it's Cherry Pie. Again, just mark making still, just another layer, another same color family though, so still keeping with the pinks and the greens, and you'll see that I'll come in with the yellow in a minute as well. I ended up putting my arm in the paint down the bottom of the page there, so I have to go back in and touch that up, as I always do. Here I am. I've got, I think this is, I don't know the actual colour. It'll be in the description box below. Again, just mark making with my paintbrush. Nothing difficult here. Just, you know, here I am just tapping my paintbrush using the tip to create little dots. Drying that off. So I hope you're all well in the whatever part of the world that you're in. It's raining here at the moment, just not too heavily, but it is raining. We seem to have had a lot of rain in the last 6 to 12 months. That might be our new normal, I think. But anyway, it's quite cozy here in my studio. So I've got the Florescent Pink out here. I love this colour. Just smushing it around with my fingers. Again, not really thinking, just putting it around the page, seeing where I think it might need to go. Don't know the colour of that, but it looks to me like it's a fluorescent green. I don't think it's called that though. Again, it'll be in the description box below. Again, drying off that next layer. I think this is Aqua Blue, and what I decided to do at this point was there was a flower in the tissue paper that I really quite liked, so I'm doing my version of it. So I'm using the Aqua Blue to create the general shape of the flower. At this point, I was sort of aiming, excuse me, for a bit of a floral type foreground, and you'll see how it develops as I go along. Again, drying that off. These are sort of like poppy shaped flowers, I guess, although it's very rough poppy shape. Here's another, just a slightly darker blue. I wasn't very happy with this, so in a minute I get a darker blue out and just mix that in as well. Just putting in the center of the flower. This is Midnite Blue, I think it's called, with it's Decoart Americana. It's just really cheap craft paint. Here I am putting in some darker blue in that center of the flower, just to give it a bit, so you can see it a bit more. I've got paint all over me at this point in time, all down my arm, all on my fingers. I'm not a very tidy painter. Once I get going, I tend to get it everywhere. I wanted to dry those centers off because the paint's quite thick there, and I wanted to try and help myself not smudge them, I should say. So hence I'm really drying everything in between. So I'm coming back in with some Dylusion paint. I think this one's called Cut Grass. I ended up actually throwing it out after this because it's gone quite gluggy and thick. And that's the thing that I've noticed with Dylusion paints. They tend after a period of time to go quite solid and chunky. And this one was well on its way. So I just thought, oh, well, it's obviously had its day. So I'm putting in some stems here. Going back in, putting in some leaves. Again, I'm not being too particular. I'm really just sort of pushing my brush down and then sort of flicking it up to try and get that little bit of a point leaf shape. Some of them work, some of them don't. It really, to me, it's just, I'm trying to remain as loose as I possibly can as well. I have a really big tendency to get quite particular about things, and then I tend to overwork things. So I'm really trying to stay quite loose here and just let it be what it will be. At the end of the day, you know, I'm playing in my art journal. I don't want to have any stress or anything, so I'm just really, it's another form of mark making. Just, you know, popping those leaves in where I think they might be. Drying that off again. I really wish I could work this fast. Would be really cool. Get a lot of painting done. I've got my So Flat white paint again. I wanted some little white flowers here and there, so just making some very rough circly shapes. Some of them are more not circles than circles, but yeah, so just filling in around as though these were another, you know, type of flower in the garden. Again, drying it off. Lots of drying. I wanted to be sure that the white was as dry as I could get it because I didn't want to smudge. I have a tendency to smudge stuff if it's not dry enough. I forget and then plonk my hand in it. So I've got a darker green here. I think this is an olive green. Not 100% sure. Drawing in some more stems. This is really cheap craft paint. I don't know in the part of the world where you are whether you can get it or not, but here in Australia we can get, it's called Sonjas paint. It's really flat acrylic paint, and we can get it here in what we call our $2 shops, although not a lot of things are $2 in the $2 shops anymore. But, you know, the cheap shops. And then also I think Bunnings here, which is our big garden centre or hardware stores here in Australia, they also, I think, sell that brand as well. I don't mind it. I mean, I probably wouldn't use it on a painting I was going to sell or anything like that, but in my art journal it's fine. And it's really flat, so it doesn't end up, the pages don't end up sticking together, which is pretty good. So I think I've got the stems in, yep, and I'm moving on again, just mark making again, just, you know, putting some leaves on those stems. I actually give it a little bit of thought this time and start to work left to right so that I don't smudge things as I'm going through. Not often that I think about that and I end up making a mess. I like the darker colour so far. It gives the, starting to give the page like a bit of depth to it. I'm really starting to chill out at this point. It's really relaxing and not a lot of thought, right? So all of my attention basically at this point is just on where am I going to put the next leaf. That's what I love about art journaling and art or creating or painting, or even I do a lot of slow stitching as well. Any of those sorts of things for me is really meditative, and it gets me, I guess, out of that busy mind and lots of, you know, thinking and arguing and going over and over things all the time, which I struggle with. So this is, for me, really meditative. I really just get into the zone of just applying the paint to the page. And the most difficult thought that I'm having at this point is, where am I going to put my next leaf? Have I got all my stems in place where I think they should be? That sort of thing. There's nothing else really bugging me at this point. I'm chilling out, having a lot of fun. I like how it's really quite loose, this page. It's something I struggle with, as I mentioned before, so I'm really happy that this is sort of I'm just throwing down the paint and not worrying too much about whether it's the leaves are perfect or the flowers are perfect or anything like that. It's really just a very abstracty type that I'm going for. Just putting in, I've picked up the same yellow that I had before, and I'm just putting in the yellow centres for the little white flowers. Drying that off. I almost called it done here. I thought, that's probably enough. At this point, I think I'd been going for about 45 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer, maybe an hour, not quite sure. But then I decided, nope, I wanted to add some more. So I've got out a red and a pink, and just putting in another type of flower. Nothing complicated about this. It's just a bunch of dots. Really just sort of giving the impression of a flower. I really like this colour, actually. I think it's called Naphtol. I'm not quite sure how you say it. Red Light, I think it is. It's a really pretty raspberry pinky red colour. It's very, very pretty. This is the Golden So Flat paint as well. This one's Naphtol Pink, I think. Again, just some more little flowers scattered around. Not being too precious about my petals or anything. Some of them all join together, some of them don't. I'm just really using the brush to make dots. So I've got another Dylusions paint. I think this one's called Mushy Peas. This one's starting to go, it's not quite as bad as the other green that I use, but it's just starting to go a little bit hard, or a little bit thick is probably what I'm trying to say. So coming in with a lighter green just to, sort of give variety to the greens that are on the page. Again, just randomly putting in leaves and stems and things like that just to sort of anchor those little flowers down. I do like this colour. It's to me, it's like a pale, really pale, sagey type colour. It's very pretty. Again, drying that off. So I wanted this to be quite dry, especially the centre of the flowers, because I was going to, I plan, and I do, come back in with acrylic markers. So I wanted to make sure that the paint was as dry as I could get it so I don't damage my acrylic markers. I've just gone to find them. It took me a little while. These are Ohuhu acrylic markers. I can't say they're my favoritist acrylic markers, but I find them actually just as good as Posca pens, acrylic markers. So this one's a tangerine colour, I think. And I'm coming back in, just putting some variety in those abstract-y flowers that I've got going on there. And this is a red, but it's a slightly different red to what's on the page already. So it's just giving a bit of variety, really. Nothing special. Just I like playing with pens and making dots. I'm pretty close to being finished now. I'm just going to go in with some black and white Posca pens. They're 0.7, so they're very fine. I just wanted to put in some details in the centre of the flowers that have got centres. So I'm going in with the black here at the moment in those blue poppy type shaped. And then also in the little white flowers, just to sort of give the hint of whatever those things are called in the middle of flowers. Don't know much about flowers other than I really like them. Again, this is really just making dots, nothing too complicated. Getting my white pen going, and now I'm just going in the centre of those blue ones there. And I think I'm done. Thank you all for being here. I will see you next week. Have a lovely week. Take care. Bye for now.